Hey everyone, and welcome back to Toy Picker Infinity's Toy Channel. It's another lovely day in paradise, and today I've got something pretty cool right in front of you, and this is a 1987 Ideal Mr. Machine. Though this is not the vintage or original 60s Mr. Machine, this Mr. Machine right here is the very last year that Ideal Toys made this. It's kind of an anniversary version because the first Mr. Machine, I think, was 1957 or 67, I think it was. And then they made it for about 2 years, and then it kind of disappeared off the market. And then they brought it back in, I think, 1974. I think it is, and brought back Mr. Machine, and they did some adjustments on the body, so there were some things that you were able to take apart and change out and this and that, and they made it so you wouldn't be able to take it apart in the second version. And then, of course, it went back off the market again, you know, after people lose interest in a toy. And then in 1987, as Ideal was actually starting to go out of business, Ideal was losing all of its momentum and going out of business, and its patents were being bought up by companies like Hasbro and Mattel. They brought out a bunch of their original vintage toys, probably to try to save the company, I would guess, or maybe just kind of a last-ditch effort to make some money. But this was one of the toys that they returned back, is Mr. Machine. And they brought it back in its near original format. This one still has some of the changes on it, but they made it so you can actually take the whole thing apart and you can repair a lot of it. So this is the 1987 box, of course, because this is the 87 Mr. Machine. And the box is in pretty good condition, but the Mr. Machine on the inside is very, very nice. So let's get him out and take a look. So this has all of its original packing. Again, this one is near mint. When I got it from the guy, he said, you know, he had a couple of others, and this was one of the ones that he hadn't pulled out of the box to test, but he had opened it up. And so I pulled it out one time just to test it to make sure it works, because I dinked around with the other ones that he had. Move all the packing out of the way, and the box here. And here is Mr. Machine. Mr. Machine, very, very cool toy. So internally you can see all the gears and everything, and the whistle pump. And this thing's in, you know, pretty beautiful condition. It has a little bit of discoloration on this side here starting, but there's nothing you can do about these when due to age. Due to age, they just start to discolor. This one wasn't subject to heat or anything like that, but it's starting to discolor a little bit. And I think somewhere on the neck here, oh yeah. So, okay, so Mr. Machine was brought out in 1961. And then in 1977, and then this is the 87. So this is the 10-year anniversary version from the 1977 version. But this is the last American version of Mr. Machine. Now, I know there were a couple of Mr. Machines made a little bit later, and not by Ideal, and they were made in a different country. This one actually was made here in the USA, in Oregon, So up in Portland, Oregon, that's where one of the Ideal factories was, and that's where this one was made. So pretty cool. All right, so I got my camera up on a stand here so we can see if we can get this thing to work, and you can hear it, but I'll do it up close first. So, you know, I mean, it's a cool little kid's toy. And yep, it works. Whistle bag, everything works. Has a really big wind up right here. And, you know, I mean, it's pretty cool. And that's the little whistle thing in there, the little airbag there makes him sound like he whistles. You know, now the head doesn't do anything, even though it has some gears up here, it's just kind of for looks, but the head doesn't do much of anything. So let's see if we can get him to walk here. Adjust my camera so you can see down onto the floor. Okay. Let me move the packing and the boxes out of the way. I threw them right in my route. So this is the first time I've ever actually set it on the floor beside winding it up and testing it. So let's see how it goes. It's pretty cool. So I can see why kids, you know, or especially small children probably thought it was cool, and probably the nostalgic feel of adults. I never had one as a kid myself, but, you know, I could see why a lot of people would sit there and like to play with it. And again, like I said, little kids, because you can actually watch all the gears spin around on the inside as it goes and does its thing. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's a little noisy though, but probably I wouldn't doubt that, you know, after all this time sitting in the box, that these gears could use a little bit of oil. But anyway, just a little video on Mr. Machine, a working near mint 1987 Ideal Mr. Machine, the very last time Mr. Machine was made in the United States. So, if you have any questions or any comments, leave them in the window below, and I will get back to you. All right, guys, have a good day.